Good evening. Our news summary for this Monday, the 12th of January. Chief Justice Ronnie Govinden says integrity builds trust in the people and gives them confidence in the system. He was speaking in an interview following the ceremony to mark the reopening of the Supreme Court, and this year's theme is upholding the rule of law with integrity.
Integrity is an essential aspect of judicial service. It gives people trust and confidence in the system. And once people have trust and confidence in the system, they accept your decision. So whatever is going to be done now is earmark and geared towards showing the outside world that we are an organization that can be trusted and you can have confidence in because our judgment is sound. We also need to, like judgment writing. Judgment writing is a format, you know. You have to have your evidence set out and your ratio based on your decision and your law. So that's part of integrity. We don't want a decision in which somebody writes and say, well, he has come to a finding, but on what basis? You know, we go back to the rules of ethics, which says that there's a way to write your decision in law so that people who read it say, well, I've lost my case, but there it is.
And as is the case every year, the reopening of the Supreme Court was marked by the traditional religious service, and this year it was held at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception this morning. Open to the public and hosted by the Interfaith Council, the ceremony featured a formal procession of judges in judicial robes alongside attorneys and court officials. The annual service brought together members of the judiciary, legal professionals, and national leaders for reflection and unity at the start of the judicial year. In his sermon, based on Matthew chapter 21, verses 23 to 27, Bishop Danny Elizabeth reflected on the questioning of Jesus' authority, drawing attention to his response regarding the divine or human origin of John the Baptist's ministry.
For a moment, the Jewish chief priests and elders were silent. Then they gave the lamest of all answers in the Holy Scriptures. They said, "We do not know." If ever man stood self-condemned, at that moment they did. They ought to have known. It was part of the duty of the Sanhedrin, of which they were members, to distinguish between true and false prophets. And they were saying that they were unable to make that distinction. Their dilemma drove them into a shameful self-humiliation. They could not justify that they were upholding the rule of law with integrity. The deliberately assumed ignorance of fear, the cowardly silence of convenience or practicality are shameful things. If a person knows the truth, he is under obligation to tell it, though the heavens should fall. In the context of upholding the rule of law with integrity, St. Paul wrote to the church in Corinthians and said, "But we have renounced disgraceful, underhanded ways. We refuse to practice cunning or to tamper with God's word. But by the testament of the truth, we would commend ourselves to everyone's conscience in the sight of God."
As of next week, the National Bureau of Statistics will conduct a National Labour Force Survey, the first for this year. The data collectors have begun a 3-day training session on how to collect the data. The training is being held at the Baha'i Center at Bel Air. Senior statistician Tanya Popono says a labour force survey is very important.
As of next week, we'll be doing the labour force survey. It is continuous every month, so every third week of the month, we'll be having data collectors that will be coming to your house to do labour force survey. So it's a survey covering those that is basically the employment situation, the labour market situation of those that is age 15 years and above. Yeah.
Why is it so important to do the survey?
The survey is crucial as it produces estimates about the labour market situation. For instance, those unemployed, for how long they have been unemployed, what's their level of education, so the relevant ministries can tailor their programs to these people in need. And also we have various stakeholders that make use of the data.
The Commission of Inquiry into the hotel development on Assumption Island has begun hearing evidence from witnesses today.
Judge Matilda Toomey, the only commissioner on the Commission of Inquiry into the hotel development on Assumption Island, began hearing evidence from witnesses today. Judge Toomey detailed the Commission's plan for the first part of hearing evidence. We shall recall that President Patrick Emini requested the creation of this commission. The first witness before IDC had received from the government of Seychelles on the Assumption Island and the subsequent sublease to the developers. To follow was the Chief Executive of the Planning Authority, Angela Servina. She described the role of the Planning Authority in general and the role in the development of the hotel on the Assumption Island. Then there have been several witnesses who are all abroad and they have given evidence online. There shall be a total of 17 witnesses for this first part of the inquiry.
And with this, we come to the end of this news summary. At 8, we'll be back with the news in Creole. Have a very pleasant evening.